Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And as you can see, I have a lot of energy today, not only because I'm wearing this Euro Champions Forza Azzurri, Forza Italia shirt that I'm wearing, but I have a person with an Italian last name next to me. And she knows that I constantly like to make it more Italian every time I say it, and that is Ms., soon to be Mrs. Daria De Lucia of that Hoboken Eats. Daria, how are you today?
What are you going to do when it's peace?
We're going to keep it as De Lucia, trust me. De Lucia pace. We'll say pace.
Pace.
Right? That's how you say it in Italian. Anyway, that's a good one. I like that. Today we're going to be discussing Lo-Fatt Chow.
Yes.
Which is just such a great name, I believe. And they're located at 720 Monroe Street.
Yes.
In the Monroe Center. I believe that their unit is C-103. Don't quote me on that. We will put that at the bottom of your screen. Look at that. I even know their unit. Did I do my research or what?
Big fan.
Exactly. So it's a Chinese restaurant.
It is.
But it's a different Chinese restaurant.
It
Why?
is. So the name kind of says it all.
Gotcha.
So Lo-Fatt Chow, they specialize in creating authentic Chinese food dishes, cuisine, that are healthier and more affordable.
Interesting.
Yes. So
how is it healthier? Is it made with a different type of oil? Or something?
You can even taste it when you're eating it. It feels a little bit lighter. There is nothing wrong with your good old like General Chow chicken, sesame chicken, load up the lo mein, all the sauces. This one just tends to be a little bit lighter. The pork fried rice isn't brown. It's like maybe tan, if that. So it's not loaded with the sauces.
The MSG, right?
Yes,
yeah.
It's not loaded with that. So it feels lighter. You're full after eating it, and then you're done. So I have to say, again, going back to the pork fried rice, I think it's a really good example because it's amazing and delicious and everything in between, but it's just lighter. It's lighter. You can feel a little bit better about it yourself when you're eating it if you're trying to be healthier. It's a nice, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's health food because it's still the same cuisine, but it has a healthier twist on it.
So you're telling me if I go to Lo-Fatt Chow on 7th and Monroe and I get, sesame chicken if they have it, and, General Chow's chicken and some pork fried rice, I would feel better eating it from there than any other Chinese restaurant.
You might. Depends what you're looking for. When I get it, and the best part about it is like, so when you order Chinese food and you get sesame chicken and it comes with the big mound of chicken, there's lots of rice.
They fill you.
It's the best helpings.
Right.
It's the same thing here.
Okay.
You're getting the same amount of food. You're getting the same food. They don't have any like different types of dishes that are more health focused than not. It's the same exact menu, but just not like, drenched and drowning. Yes.
Drenched and drowning. That's a good point. And
which is still great too. I do love drenched and drowning.
Are the portions a decent size?
Yes, it's the same size portions.
Same size portions.
Same size portions. So you are going there, you're ordering your lo mein, and they have every type of lo mein: shrimp, chicken, pork, plain. They have everything. Then you have, like I said, your rices. They have the General Tso chicken, the sesame chicken. They have ribs. They have all your regular old appetizers that you would get at any other Chinese food restaurant. But the one thing that they do have is they have these wraps.
Wraps?
Wraps.
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 Never heard of wraps at a Chinese restaurant.
No, you have not. No, you have not. Exclusive here on the Pulse.
Exclusive. Daria De Lucia, soon to be Pace, with the exclusive. What type of wraps?
Anything. They have ribs in a wrap. They have stir fry in a wrap. They have General's Chow chicken wrap.
No way.
Sesame chicken wrap.
God.
I'm not kidding you.
So do they put the rice in there as well?
Yeah, it's like a little burrito.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm speechless.
I know.
And you know me, I don't shut up on my own show.
No, never. He never
Exactly.
does. Yeah.
So I can go down there and get a General Chow's chicken wrap.
Correct.
Oh.
Stir fry, sesame chicken, ribs.
Ribs. Pork or beef? Are you more of doesn't matter to you?
If it has the sauce on it, I'll eat anything.
So, and by the way, we didn't talk about the actual ambiance of the place. There's no tables in there.
No.
It's strictly a takeout
Yeah,
place.
it is strictly takeout.
So there is no ambiance, exactly.
It is very tiny, very tiny. It's, again, I personally don't think I've ever even been there. It's been delivered to my door many times. They know where I live. I don't know where they live.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, they're going to know you now.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're going to have to get in there. And it's so funny, folks, because, you know, you have your fair share of Chinese restaurants in the city here. And what's amazing is, it's that, like, a lot of them seem kind of the same. But this is different.
So to that point, I agree with you, but to that point, I feel like whenever we're home and we're craving Chinese food and we're like, where do we order from? There are quite a few restaurants that we go between. So everyone has, in my opinion, that one dish that you love. So I have like my favorite General Chow somewhere, I have my favorite lo mein somewhere, I have my favorite fried rice somewhere. Kemming offers soup dumplings, you know what I mean?
Kemming's very good, yeah.
Kemming's very good. We did
Ever
it.
since you spoke about it, I've gone plenty of times.
Yeah,
it's very good.
We did a segment on that. So it's your number one Chinese is, you know, to me the OG. It's where I always ordered from when I first moved here. Then you have Precious, which also has sushi. So it's like you are getting a little bit of everything. So to me, Lo-Fatt Chow is the one of a kind, like some of the other ones, in the sense that it offers more of the healthy options that you maybe wouldn't get. And now the wraps, I was excited to tell you that.
Oh my God.
So excited.
She held this from me, folks.
I did.
She was like, I got something that I'm going to say to you on camera that's going to explode your mind. I exploded. I didn't know what to say. I felt success. Daria, right here with the exclusive. Now, you know, Daria, one thing that I always find funny about Chinese restaurants, though, is how quickly they can turn around food. I mean, and you know, and you wonder, like, who's actually cooking back there that they can get this food out so quickly. Lo-Fatt Chow, just because it's a little bit of a healthier alternative, still very, very quick turnaround.
We'll order. We live downtown. We'll come in from uptown.
Uptown's better.
I've been both ends, okay, and I've been in the middle. I've been everywhere in Hoboken, okay.
Coming from the uptown guy.
Anyway, we'll get into Hoboken, uptown, the second best part of Hoboken. Whatever.
Whoa,
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I love every street of Hoboken.
My goodness. Exactly.
By the time we get to our house, it's there.
It's there.
It's there. Or it's there within 5 minutes.
It's there. And again, it's a takeout spot. They don't have to worry about tables that are inside. You know, so I guess, you know, if you're looking for like something quick to take out, this is where I usually ask the question, is this a good date night spot? But it might be a good date night spot to celebrate.
Like Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill. I was going to say, in your home,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. You won't feel full. You'll be great.
Unless you order everything that I asked Daria that I was going to order. Yeah. The rice and all that.
Yeah, but you have to. See, I'm a big proponent when you order Chinese food, takeout, or that night. You literally, because the thing is, you have to, people don't like their food touching, and that's fine. But when it comes to Chinese food, everything needs to be mixed. You need to put your chicken, your white rice, your pork fried rice, your lo mein, your egg roll.
Yeah.
Some of your significant other's food or your best friend's food on your plate, please.
Whatever you need to do.
Yeah, and it's like our go-to is always, when I was in college, me and my roommate would always order, who's now my best friend. We would order Chinese food every snow day.
Every snow day.
It was like, no matter what, you had to get it, no matter what.
Well, Lo-Fatt Chow certainly filling a niche in the city of Hoboken, correct? That, you know, again.
But people don't know about it.
Why do you think we're doing it here on the Pulse?
I know. I get so many DMs every time I post that's like, oh, how is it? Do you like it?
Right.
And I mean, we want the people to know.
There you go. Daria DeLucia of at Hoboken Eats. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to having you on again in the future.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, like
maybe you're going to bring some food in the future.
I mean,
possible.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad about that. Not mad.
Appreciate it again. Folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, not hostess with the mostest, because that would make me a female. Joshua Sotomayor Einstein, hosting this segment on the political part of the show. I'm so glad to be here with a new friend of mine who's running for council at large in Jersey City, Elvin Dominici. Elvin, how you doing?
Doing great, Josh. Thank you so much for inviting me. It is a pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, as opposed to my usual, person that's with me, Peter Biancamano, and he's just such a pain. So.
Okay.
So tell us tell us about yourself. What's your background before we get into why you're running? How long have you lived in Jersey City? What brought you to decide to run? Tell us about yourself.
All right. Certainly. My name is Elvin Dominici. I'm a Latino from the Dominican Republic. I came to the country in the year 2000, and I've been here for the last 21 years. Basically, I grew up all my life in Hudson County, mostly in Jersey City since 2006. But all my schooling was done in Jersey City. Talking about Hudson County Community College, I started at an ESL level 1. So when I came to the country, I did not know how to speak the language. It was so bad that I remember in the flight coming here, the flight attendant asked us, "Would you like something to eat?" I couldn't understand what she said. So I knew for that moment that I needed to catch up very fast with my learning. Then I went to NJCU, Jersey City University. I got my bachelor's there, and then I went to St. Peter's University where I got 2 masters. So basically
Very
21 years here.
Very nice. So what brought you? So you took that giant leap of moving to a whole different country,
Right.
which takes bravery that I always admire in new Americans and immigrant Americans. And then you lived in Jersey City for a little bit more than 2 decades. And what precipitated your run? What made you say enough is enough?
Well, it's just that after 8 years of this administration, we see that the changes that are happening, there are some things that we believe is good, like the developers as far as real estate value. Maybe we're talking about the signals of the bikes on the city, but when we're talking about the most valuable thing in the city, which is people are being left behind. When we talk about affordability, when we talk about gentrification, and I feel that the administration, mostly the people that represent us in the city council, they just follow the agenda of the administration without really taking in consideration what are the important things that are affecting our community.
So you mentioned a number of issues: gentrification, leaving people behind. What would you say are the top 3 issues this election in Jersey City that are being ignored by Fulop and his allies, or his political retainers rather, in the city council?
Well, I feel strongly that when we talk about the value of life, right, and violence on the streets, and opportunity for kids to actually be off the streets is something that is not being addressed properly in the city council. When you look at the budget coming out in this year that was recently approved in July, most of it is going to be invested on the Papadu Center, which is about $12 million. Not in recreation, not creating programs for kids to actually have mentorships or sports, but we're talking about arts. And I'm not saying arts is not about investment, but we have to put people first, right? And when we said we want to put people first, if somebody died in downtown Jersey City in Washington Boulevard, and somebody died in Greenville and Martin Luther King, the value of life have to be the same, right? So recently, I think yesterday, we have another person that actually died. It is the 14th case that we have in the year, which we have about 28 per year, and that's something that hasn't changed. So I feel that the leadership and the city council has to address more the needs of the city as far as violence.
And it was a homicide, right?
An homicide,
Okay.
correct. So, and that's one of the things that is a priority for me. When we talk also, I just talk about affordability. It's very expensive to be in Jersey City, and we see that there is a lot of developers going on. And it's nothing against developers, but we want to make sure that we have responsible developers. And what do I mean by that? We want more parking spaces for the people that are actually going to live in the city, all right? We want to make sure that they invest in the city and any other aspects besides just having these big buildings, whether it's cultural, whether it's talking about recreation programs, right? And we want to make sure that they put the ISO back to 20%, because right now, developers can come in and they can go either to 5% affordable housing on the units and sometimes 0, depending where they put the funds in the city.
So for viewers that may not know, do you want to explain what ISO means?
Yeah, that's the Inclusionary Zoning Ordinance, which is the law that the city government established that mandate any developers coming to the city that they need to invest at least That's what it was before, 20% into affordable housing. They changed it because they were saying, oh, maybe this can stop developers to be interested to come to Jersey City, which is not the case.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, right? Because my main thing is I want to make sure that the long life residents of Jersey City can stay in Jersey City. Little by little, I feel that we've been pushed out or priced out. And, we don't have a voice in the city council that can say otherwise.
Oh, so it's been fascinating to hear about these issues. As a 14-year-long Hudson County resident, I've only lived in Hoboken, so I've seen some of what goes on in Jersey City, but from slightly afar. So how's the campaign going so far? We only got about 2 minutes left. Why don't you tell us how the campaign trail's been treating you?
It's been fascinating having conversation with the community, especially with the mandate that you got to get at least 1,680 petitions. Ooh. So it's more petitions if you were running for governor. You only need 1,000. But for me, it has been really good to be able to have conversations with the community as far as the issues that are affecting them. But to be honest with you, also, I'm been suffering when you go and talk to people that are being affected directly by all the issues that are affected as far as violence and all the things that are now being addressed. Somebody, I remember in Ward F, came to me and said, you know what, why you coming here? Because you don't live in this neighborhood. You don't care about what happened. Everybody comes and goes and nobody actually fulfill any of the promises. And I said to her, listen, I only have my word right now, but I can assure you if I'm elected, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's what we're trying to do. Connect with the people to prove that $1.8 million is not going to be enough when the people come out and vote now in November 2nd.
No, I mean, obviously the full administration has been neglecting the people of Jersey City as well as its allies has been as well. Do you have any allies on the campaign trail yourself?
Well, there is an alliance of independent candidates that we are relying on each other, sharing information and pushing for each other because we understand that the challenge ahead is very tough. However, we are providing, the platforms, right, and the issues that are more important in order to be able to be successful. And it's something that I encourage everybody to go and check all the different candidates. Somebody like Louis Spears that is running for mayor, Chris Gaston and June Jones that also are running for councilman at large. We got people like Kevin Beaton C, Joel Brooks in Ward B, Jane Solomon, which is somebody that has done an amazing job advocating and defending the people of Jersey City and downtown. So I think that we united can make a difference.
Well, Elvin Dominici, it's been a pleasure and honor to have you join us today. Folks, we'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano, back hosting and not at the pier anymore. We had to make the long trek, I think it was like 2 blocks, Bob, from Maxwell Place Pier to the beautiful Hoboken Historical Museum. As you can see, I had to get changed because I had to look good for the gentleman to my right here, and that is the director here at the Historical Museum, and that's Mr. Bob Foster. Bob, how are you today, sir?
Doing great. Beautiful day here in Hoboken.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, Bob, the museum has been in this location for how long?
The museum is celebrating its 20th year in the shipyard.
Wow.
1301 Hudson Street, great location, just a short block from the Hudson River.
Exactly. And was it at a different location before this, or?
Yeah, we incorporated in 1986, so that makes it 35 years. 35 years. And our first home was actually City Hall under Mayor Tom Pizzetti when he invited us to fill the hallways with historical artifacts. So it's our humble beginning.
Wow, so 10 years at the at Hoboken City Hall and 20 here at the shipyard, give or take, let's just say.
Give or take.
I see you squinting at me.
That's okay, it's okay.
And Bob, you've been director for all 20 years it's been here at the shipyard, or?
Yes.
Exactly. And of course, he's a familiar face. I mean, he is thoroughly involved in the city of Hoboken, and we thank you for all your service to the museum because it is important to have it. Now, Bob, would you say that Hoboken is more than just the birthplace of baseball and Frank Sinatra?
Yes, indeed. Hoboken has an amazing history. I mean, we could have been just a Frank Sinatra museum, but we never wanted to just feature Frank. One person, no matter how important they are, Frank is important, doesn't tell the history of a city that was incorporated in 1855.
Wow, incredible. I mean, it really is. Now, many small businesses and big businesses for that matter have felt the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure the museum was no different. How did you survive, or how are you surviving, I should say, because we're still in a pandemic according to the CDC, the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, we're in it for the long haul. Who thought things would be extended from last March, or I'm losing track of this thing actually, but luckily Applied gives us a long lease. We have a 100-year lease.
Wow.
At a very small rent, and that makes things possible. But we have kept staff on. We've received PPP loans. We've been open pretty much, and we're proud to say we just opened a new exhibit last week, and we've had really good response.
Exactly. And speaking of the new exhibit, it wouldn't be a Pulse exclusive if we didn't visit the new exhibit here. It is on Washington Street, correct? The main drag, as they call it.
Sure. We actually call it the Avenue.
The Avenue, excuse me. Okay.
And it's
I'm using an old Hoboken
That's
term.
okay.
My apologies.
Sure. Avenue is actually even older.
Exactly.
So it goes back to the idea that all the shopping was done on the Avenue. Almost refers to our Washington Street is like Fifth Avenue.
Wow.
And people just would say, I'll see you on the Avenue. So we're sort of bringing that back. We know Washington Street has gotten a lot of hits through COVID, so we just thought it would be good to kind of connect with what's going on Washington Street now during the pandemic and what's been happening in Hoboken the last 100 years or more.
Fantastic. Well, why don't we head inside?
Sure.
Because now I'm excited to check out the new exhibit. Bob's going to give us a little tour. Let's go inside. Now inside the beautiful Hoboken Historical Museum, located at 1301 Hudson Street in Hoboken, of course. Bob, this is cool. I mean, you have old artifacts here, but something that I noticed right away was modern day Washington Street, going along from Observer Highway all the way down to, I guess, 14th or 15th. I don't know. We haven't got there yet, but 14th or 15th Street, I'm assuming. And then other things. So I'm going to give the floor to you, and I'm going to have you explain some of the exhibits here.
Sure. So we do change our exhibits at the museum. We're proud this is just open. It's definitely going to be up 6 months, could be up longer.
Wow.
But basically, the Washington Street theme is what's being portrayed here. And we're telling the story of Washington Street through our artifacts. We start with a section called Parades. We're using monitors and audio to take you into the parade. It's actually not set up for the audio, right? Sorry.
The folks at home know that I love
That's
touching
right.
things on air here.
It's John Philip Sousa. No.
Exactly.
Anyway, Hoboken loves parades.
Yes, they
and
do.
so we looked into our artifacts and we found so many. It's hard to get a sense of the scale of this object.
What is that?
But
Yeah, I was
this
gonna say.
is a wrench, a giant wrench.
Obviously,
it's
right.
16 feet tall. And we store this wrench, actually. It has its own parking spot in the garage.
A hot commodity in the city of Hoboken,
That's right.
I might
Not
add.
too many
Yeah.
wrenches get to be stored that way.
Exactly.
And this was used on a float in the 1955 100th anniversary of the city of Hoboken, and it was on a flatbed truck advertising a plumbing business. And who would believe something like this would survive? Wow. So this becomes an artifact. It's another way to tell the history of Hoboken through its parades. As we move down here...
Yeah, we are going to move down, absolutely.
Definitely.
And so you have the little parade exhibit, but go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, we have basically a digital printout of the entire Washington Street, like you said, Observer Highway to 14th Street, and we're portraying both the west side and the east side, and then below we're displaying artifacts that pertain to the block that's illustrated.
Oh,
And then above are artifacts for the west side of the street. I hope I didn't switch that around.
No, but and is this City Hall in this
That
photo
is
right
City
here?
Hall. That's Mayor McFeely,
Wow.
kind of known as the Little Hague,
The Little
referring
Hague.
Jersey City.
I believe the
And,
street's named after him here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes, it
see?
is. Yep.
See?
And that is City Hall, the proud constituency. We're showing City Hall in its early days.
Wow.
And then the City Hall is actually improved and made larger, and that's the City Hall we know today. Below, on the east side of the street, you're seeing Shonings. Do you remember what Shonings
of
became?
course. What it became, let me think.
It's called this-
Carlos or no?
Yes, it is Carlos.
I am 2 for 2 today, folks.
Okay, okay. And so in the day, Shonings never had the media attention that a Carlos did, but it was considered a big deal in the day.
And I'm going to stop you 1 second. This is a insurance map, a flood map, they called it?
It's actually a Sanborn map and
Sanborn
referred to as an insurance map, and the color coding refers to the building materials. If it was pink, that meant it was brick. Yellow is wooden frame.
There's
And
a
then
lot of
the-
brick here, Bob.
Yes,
A lot of brick.
But
yeah.
if you were going for insurance, they would refer to this map. They probably weren't thinking flood in those days. It was more fire was the issue. And so if you lived in a wooden frame building or next to a wooden frame building, your insurance would be up higher.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting.
And they're very accurate. They have, of course, the street numbers, but they are within the inch of the property lot size. Wow. Yep.
Unbelievable. And that makes sense, actually, that it wouldn't be flooding because Washington Street is I guess the 20% of Hoboken that's not in a flood zone.
Right.
So,
And
right.
in the day, you didn't really have as strong a fire department. You didn't have fire detectors, smoke detectors, things like that. Fire was the number 1 fear in an urban setting, for
Interesting.
sure.
Well, why don't we move down here?
Sure.
I think because we're going to get to some artifacts that are quite interesting here. Of course, home of the biggest slice, Benny Tadino's.
Right.
We have a little bit of a T-shirt here. I'm also looking at these old, I guess, high school jackets because I noticed that there were uniforms when we started this in the beginning here.
Up above, we sort of cheated a little. The artifacts up there are so large that if we put them down below, we'd run out of space. So they are kind of, again, portraying different businesses that have been in Hoboken a while. Stans is up there.
Right.
This is a banner for United Decorating,
Of course,
a company.
Stans is still there.
Yeah.
Benny's is still there.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely, definitely.
And then, of course, the first Blimpie was in
Blimpies.
Hoboken. That's
Yes.
right. On the
This
corner.
was an early souvenir shop. We don't think of Hoboken and souvenirs, but they were kind of the trailblazers for souvenirs.
Interesting.
And I love this shot of the new refrigerators
Oh my goodness,
coming
look
into
at that.
town.
That is
And
fantastic.
modern appliances that were,
This is a great sign to no parking for the day for funerals,
right?
which
Sure.
is still outside many of the Catholic churches I've noticed.
It could be. This was in our collection. We didn't borrow it.
I was going to
Okay.
say,
Sure.
oh, it's too funny. And if we move down more here, of course, a blast from the past, Schneckenberg's. It looks like you have several signs, including the old menu, which has a hamburger for 35 cents and a cup of coffee for a nickel.
Schneckenberg's was a luncheonette. It still is seen on Washington Street with its old Coke sign. It's
That's it.
now configured as a new business,
Right.
but it's always been a restaurant, it seems, of some sort.
Exactly.
And we do love the pricing. Where are we? This
Oh,
is
that's right.
actually
This is the
older.
other- this is the older
So
menu than the one up top.
Swiss
right?
cheese sandwich is 15 cents.
15 cents.
Right.
By the way, while they were still open towards the future, the prices didn't change that much.
That's what people say. That's
Exactly.
what-
So now we're on 11th and Washington, which is home to a very great deli, Biancamanos. There you go, Mom and Dad. 40 years now in December, Bob.
Wow.
Biancamanos.
Okay.
Absolutely. And of
We're
course,
going to have to come visit. We didn't really know how to display mozzarella.
Exactly.
But maybe
I
a
appreciate
T-shirt,
that.
maybe something.
Exactly. So moving on here, it looks like we're going into United Decorating, which was the oldest store on Washington Street, but I believe they closed,
They
correct?
did, yes. Now it's a drop-off laundry store. But in the day, 421 Washington Street and United Decorating was 3 generations of sort of decorating for parades, decorating for anniversaries of businesses, selling flags, and we were very good friends with the Kirsch-Gessners, the last owners. And I think the family still owns the building, but as United Decorating, it's over.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
And then, of course, you know, we did speak about outside this Frank Sinatra, and it looks like we have a Sinatra lounge here that we're going into.
Right.
Can you tell the folks at home what you might expect walking into the Sinatra lounge here?
Yeah, it's a small space, obviously, and this was set up when we did an anniversary exhibit for Frank Sinatra, 2015. So I guess that's the 100th anniversary of his birth. And this continues to stick around. We still get people who come from all over the world who are expecting a Frank Sinatra experience in Hoboken, and so this is what we give them. They can play a 78 record, which is pretty cool, with early Frank tunes on a 100-year-old Victrola. These paintings might throw people for a loop, but these are actual paintings done by Frank Sinatra, and they are original. Most people don't know he painted to kind of chill out from the music business. The one on the left is actually a self-portrait. And self-portrait becomes pretty, becomes more important.
Yeah, I like it. He makes his nose like a tie. Exactly.
That's right. Orange is his favorite color. We think we see records as his eyes. Maybe a 1980s toupee there,
What's interesting, Bob, is most people would come to Hoboken and want to go to his childhood home, which, by the way, is just condos on 4th and Monroe or whatever it is.
415.
415 Monroe. And if you drive by there, they have like a picture of him in the hallway, but you can't even get in because it's private condos. They have the star outside. The museum is way more elaborate in Sinatra artifacts than his childhood home. So, Bob, I think that you need to tell the audience about your hours here, how much the admission is, and I know you sell these. You want souvenirs, you have to come to the Hoboken Historical Museum because he has hats and T-shirts and so on and so forth. So the floor is yours. Anything you want to tell the audience?
So the museum is open every day except for Monday. You can check the website, hobokenmuseum.org, for hours. And we'd love to see you here in the museum. Admission is $5. Students are free. Kids are free. We want you to learn about the history of Hoboken, and obviously this is the best place to do it. We are more than Frank Sinatra.
As you can
we
see.
tell the entire history. And I do want to just sort of let people know about this
I didn't
historic
even see
traffic
it. I almost
light.
hit it.
I know. Well, you're tall. Yeah. Most people don't notice it, but this was one of the oldest traffic lights supposedly in the country, and it was on Washington Street. And we have we had some folks identify it and research it, and we're proud to install it. There aren't that many museums that would have a traffic light on display, but of course it connects with our Washington Street exhibit. And we sort of say that Frank Sinatra could have run this traffic light. It's from the 1930s.
Fantastic. Well, Bob Foster, thank you so much. And again, thank you for all your dedication to this important museum here. Come visit him, or excuse me, the museum. He might be here too. Director here at the Hoboken Historical Museum. Once again, 1301 Hudson Street. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. Have a great week, everybody.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.